Yo, so we are back in the lab and really excited to get this thing fully set up. So what I need to do is very carefully take the string off, set up this for reserving. And the reason why I want to do what I'm about to do, I'm about to stretch the string. The reason why is so I can get enough tension on the string so it doesn't want to spin and do some weird rotation stuff. It's very simple to rig up on a last chance press, so I'm going to do that and show you how it's done so you can do it at your house or at your bow shop, your club, that sort of thing. I could just take the string off of this bow, the old title, and put it on the new one, but I really want to start fresh and I really want to keep that old title together. Once I get a new grip in, I will be shooting that bow potentially just to play with it. You know, I've been shooting it very well. Just want to keep that energy there. But I really want to start fresh so I can play with getting the holding weight closer to factory spec on this string and cables. I've monkeyed around with this one so much. The cables are super loose, the string is super tight. So it'd be really nice to start fresh on this bow. Potentially getting another set of mods I got from Derek today. If you guys don't know Derek Phillips with Matthews, he is the GOAT. He's the bald guy. Matthews Pro Staff Coordinator. Really good guy. I love him. But just a little miscommunication on what I needed. But yeah, we'll get that set up. And you can, with match bowstrings, get the center serving you want. I just didn't specify. So what I would do is, if you're shooting a bite or knock, just ask for a little thicker center serving. Ask for the 113 to 114 thousandth center, and you should be fine. So most of the time it's set up to like 109, 110. I think it's about a 110, maybe even 111 on these. So for your normal everyday knock, your pin knock, small throated knocks, they would work perfect. But I just went back to biters. I like biters so much. They're freaking awesome. They're so consistent. They fit all my arrows very well. So just going to keep using them. They glide on the string. They don't really pinch and they don't break as easily as other knocks. So that's why I use them. So let's go ahead and get started with this. So I also got a couple lenses in. So I'm going to be setting up a 30 millimeter bowfinger scope with a 7 power lens. That's going to be kind of freaky looking. It'd be cool also to check this 7 power out versus my other scope. I have a 35 mil with a dot on a 7 power. I want to see what this 7 power looks like, as well as, you know, just the field of view being smaller. My peep size is still going to be pretty small. It's going to be a 3/64 peep with the B clarifier. So, and the dot. So let's go ahead and get this set up. We'll take a look at that, see how I like that. So first, put this in the press. Get our fingers lined up here. Okay, I'm going to press this in. Take the string off. I'm going to set that over here, just like that. Cool thing about this QAD is you can loosen this rod here. And I do this cool little trick where I actually will take the cable off and slide it underneath the rod. So I just took it off like this, come on the back side here, and just pin it. And the side that faces me is facing up inside this track. So that should be pretty easy to remember. I'll move the camera so you guys can see what I'm dealing with. And now I'm actually going to tighten that down. That way the rod doesn't come out. Yeah, let me show you guys what we're dealing with. Okay, so I basically put these right where that rod is and tightened it down. So it's a great place to hold the string for the time being. Okay, so what we're going to do is just loosen the press, loosen this all the way, and just take it out of the press. We're about 40 on the mark for how the press fingers are set. It's as easy as that. And I'm going to set this over here. Okay, so now the jerry rig, if you will. So you could do this without these fancy little contraptions. These rollers come with these fancy fingers Last Chance has made. That's like an L shape. I would not use those fingers with a title. I actually almost cracked a limb using a set of those fingers. I would use, these are just the normal fingers. They also make special Matthews fingers that are awesome. I don't think they're that necessary, especially if you have to use other bows. But the other fingers do work with other bows. I think it's fine though, if you're just paying attention to your stuff. So what I would do is, I would take these little guys. This has a little line in it, and there's like a plastic, it's like a plastic cylinder inside this foam that the string will actually cut through and hold onto. So I'm just going to flip these backwards. I know it's a little jerry rig, and I'll show you the full setup. I take this one off because it gets in the way of the drawboard handle. I usually hit my hand on it or something like that, which isn't fun. That rotated as well, the way I like it. Let me see. It's not the way I like it. Yeah, we'll do the inside. That'll be good. Perfect. Tighten those down, push them in all the way, tighten them down. Very simple. Now, let me go grab my other parts kit right quick. So, got this little kit here. And let me show you what I'm going to do with these things. Okay, so these are like some little cylinder things that I literally got at Lowe's. And then I kind of shaved them down for a very small loop. But the title loops are very big, so I don't think you would have to do that. But basically, you'll take this thumb screw here, take that thumb screw off, and slide this over, and then you'll put your string on this, so the threads aren't eating into your string when you press the press out. So, a little bit of redneck ingenuity, but totally worth having the right center serving size. So I want to take the string, and it'll look just like that. So I want to put that in this little track here, and do the same thing on the other side. I also have a YouTube video on this, and this is probably the most up-to-date version of this string stretching thing with a press. So this is definitely probably the way to go right now. Just want to put this in and just tighten that down all the way until it doesn't go anymore. Pull that into that little foam roller, and it should have some slack. When I unpressed the bow, I ended around 45 inches. I think I stretched this to about 48 to 50. I'd say probably around 48. So yeah, let me show you how that would look. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay. Oh yes, let me go in some. So I did have this cool little hack that we will definitely do on this. I took some PS27 bushings that I had and made a slight modification to this. Okay, so there's one more modification I would do, and it's using that bushing right there, that PS27 bushing. I would put it against this, press it there, so this doesn't have any bend. So even underneath this foam block, it will not have any bending issues. It won't be contacting anything. So it will actually come up out of the way of this knob. So you just want to be very careful when you do this. You just want to be very careful when you do this to make sure this serving doesn't get any hard corners on it. It needs to have curves the whole way. So this works really well. The bushing won't move when you tighten it. So, but I would still pay attention to it because it is kind of odd and different. So let's go ahead and stretch this thing out. Okay, so basically I went with this, back up the string a little bit from where we inserted it, did like an endless loop knot or whatnot, and then pulled it through itself, then kind of pulled it with some Allen wrenches. So I don't know if that's right. I think it'll just hold, and for my purposes, I think it'll be fine, honestly. I actually need to sit down and learn how to do this very well. So, but I think that'll be fine. It actually looks really, really good. Just have to pull that tight once we're done. So, okay, now I'm going to pull this up. Get this really tight, tighten my jig, and just spin this thing and hold the string in place so it doesn't rotate, and make it to where it's super tight as we spin it. The tighter the better, generally. You want to make sure you can get an even, consistent spin. It's looking really good, I like that. And just spin it down until we get to the end. Yeah, it looks super good, holy cow. There's our silver Sharpie mark. I'm going to keep an eye on that. Okay, so once you're about this far away from that mark, just go a little bit more. You're going to pull this a lot. Something like that. Kind of feed it. Okay, you're going to put your finger on this and hold it. Then you're going to go around the side and then make this giant U shape. I actually need some more. Let me grab some more. Just want to hold this and just let some out. About 1.5 feet. Hold this and then go inside of itself. 1, 2, up. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 times. And then I will loosen the spool a little bit so you can drag some of this line. Okay, and you're going to pull this out of sight. Let me show you a close-up. So once you get to where you're like really close to the Sharpie mark and you have about this much left, basically you're going to make sure you pull this tight and grab about 1.5 feet of material. Just pull the spool down and loosen it a little bit. Hold that with your index. And then you're going to go on the other side and wrap inside of itself in this big U shape. So we got 1, You want to make sure you have enough material to do this as well. Yeah, I would just do like 2 foot. So wrap inside of itself like this. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. And then holding this down, pull the spool out. Put it way over there. I want to pull this and hold it with my finger. And then hold this on top of that. Like this. And now we're going to wrap over this line. So just keep following our original wrap. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, and now I want to pull this. Watch the magic appear. Awesome. So that's the center serving. Take an Allen wrench. I want to still keep this attached just in case if you have any malfunctions. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Should be able to wrap this up pretty good and just pull it. There's a lot of tag there. All right, so that should do the trick there. So we're going to cut that. Reel this back up. And do the same thing with this side as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and pull this tight. Awesome. Cut and burn, and you are good to go. Good stuff. Okay, so I just put the string back on. That looks freaking awesome. Just got to make sure everything's seated. Cool. So now I'm going to put my peep in, my knock sets, and my D-loop, and basically going to model what I've been shooting. I love what I've been shooting. I've done so much testing. I'm just going to model it, and it should be good. So first, T-square. Get one of these. I should be getting like these for you for Christmas, man. Like, these are freaking awesome. No one uses these except for people that run bow shops, apparently. But this thing is probably one of the most important tools you'll ever get. Easton T-square, super important. So I'm gonna clip this on, it double clicks. I'm gonna click it the first time. Line this with the center of the rest holes. Okay, and then click it in. Cool. Now, I'm going to mark exactly where I want my knock height to be. I'm actually going to take a look at my old bow just to be 100% certain on where I want that to be. So it's actually perfect right there. Stab that through here. So that's just below 3/16 low. Good to know. Well, I say 3/16 low. Let's try that one more time. Yep, 3/16 low. That's pretty freaking low. Could have did a better job on that, but it'll work. Okay. Cool. 3/16 low. I've been shooting the title with a lower knock and a angled grip. It just aims. It points naturally. Before it was like a swirly, low pressure point feel. Now it just points naturally. So we're going to mark right here. I think on the next bow, we're going to try to optimize that a little bit better. I would at least hope so. And I think the reason why these bows like it down there so much is because it looks more like a deflex riser bow, even though it technically isn't. It kind of acts like a deflex, so I feel like a lower knock set works. So if you have a PSC Supra, you'd probably like a lower knock set. Now if you have more of a reflex bow or like a TRX, probably like something a little higher, maybe. Kind of depends. I would just play with your grip angle as well. It's super related to your grip angle. Super related to it. So I've got that set. Now let's go ahead and find a peep housing that I want to use. Yeah, it's perfect. Grab the measurement for that. 4.5 minus 1/16. Okay, so that's where I want my peep. Move this down. Split this, pull that up. Put the peep in. Pick the angle that I want. Oh, that doesn't look like the angle I'm looking for. Could be the other one. Alright, so now I'm going to pull that up and out of the way. Unpress this. Okay, so it's kind of got an oddball feel to it. I'm going to swap it around. Kind of get a rope feel in there. It's a very big peep opening. I don't really prefer that. Little trick I do right there to make sure the peep sits in very good. Very cool. Double check our height. Okay. Good stuff. That's where we need to be. Cool. And that's actually sitting in very good. If I am going to be completely honest, I usually like to have the peep sitting a little to the left, like the face to the right, pointing to the left, like that, instead of this way, because I can always put a peep tuner in, or use this and pull it down, and it'll spin around straight, more straight. So I'm just going to keep this in until I get it fully tied in. And yeah, we're just going to keep that there. Looks like it's about a half twist out. So probably just going to use a peep tuner to fix that. I love peep tuners. I think they're so simple to use to get that micro adjustment. So now the top knock set. I like using BCY 3D for my knock sets, and I like using Angel 18 thousandths for my peep sight. So I'm going to show you how I'll do this. Okay, so I'm going to grab a decent amount of this stuff. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. Do I like 3? Yeah, 3 wraps, and then plug this through. Just like that. Come here, come here. You can do it. You can do it. Pull it there, boom, okay. And, okay, get that somewhat molded. Knock an arrow in the center of that line, and then just position this on top of it. One more revolution there. Oh, let's go back up one. Something like that's good. And line up these tags with the center of our peep. And hand tighten. Looking very good. Now, fully tightening with Allen wrenches. Cool. Show you what that looks like. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut and burn this. And let's go ahead and get the bottom one started. Long piece of serving, like 2 feet, something like that. About 10 wraps there, and plug it back through. Okay, get some good shape. That is twice as thick as the top one. Line that up with the peep, and we're going to go ahead and tighten this down and get our loop put on. So the rule of thumb is don't set everything out of whack and just get a bolt hole. Make sure everything is somewhat straight. Make sure you have good draw length, and then go from there. So, loop length, just shorter of 5/8. This is about a 1/2 inch long loop, so I'm going to go kind of in the middle here, like that. Burn this in. Oof, don't really like that. I'm going to take a half twist out. Should do, give me some good, or let me actually just play with this a little bit. Yeah, we'll figure that out later. That's no big deal. So, okay. Put this loop on. If you get insanely good results from watching this video, please comment below or find a way to contact me on social media and we'll go from there. I read every comment on my videos, so if you leave a comment, I will get back with you. So, good stuff. Now, okay, got the top one set. Let's get the bottom one set now. This is feeling pretty good. It's probably on the long side, which is fine. I'm gonna get the stretchers out. Boom. That's what I got right now. Okay, that's already looking pretty close. Let's go ahead and measure this as we do it. Okay. We need to go a little shorter. That's right at the length we need to be at. Okay, let's go a little shorter than that, and it's going to probably stretch the knots. Will definitely stretch the material. It's going to stretch. So we might set it just a wee shorter. Usually it'll stretch once and then it'll stop, and then I will tighten it in just a little bit more. .593. Yeah, that's definitely on the short side. Looking at it, I think it's going to stretch to .607. So yeah, that's perfect. It will stretch in as we shoot it. So now, double checking our peep, fully tying in the peep since we know where it should be, and then checking timing, tuning, seeing how it feels. That sort of thing. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, so now peep is tied in. I'm going to go ahead and check the cam timing. As we shoot the bow, things are going to settle in. Yokes especially, they will settle in to the yoke pieces. So expect change. And then once everything's settled in, you should be good to go. It'll take probably about 100 arrows or so to really get everything settled in. So I would double check it often. So just get a pretty good paper tear to start out. Shoot it a bunch, double check it, and then once everything settles into place, it won't move. So let's go ahead and check this timing. All right, so in the draw board, just touch the bottom. I've got about a 1/16 to an 1/8 inch ahead on the bottom. So I'm going to do a Conquest end time spacer, the second smallest size in the bottom side of the cable. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Peep rotation looks pretty good. I'm going to push that up some for now. Yeah, that looks really good. And then draw length, we can also test draw length after we get the timing. Peep's also a little rotated looking, not too bad. Okay, so these spacers are very freaking cool. I'll show you guys what this looks like. So essentially, you'll buy a pack that has 8 different spacers, 2 of each size. This is the smallest size, this is the largest size, and as you can see, they are labeled. So you can use these for within half twist increments on your cables. What I have noticed is the Matthews bows, this bow in particular is very sensitive to cam timing changes. So I couldn't live without these personally on this bow. So bottom cable, loosen that up and kind of split it. Put it in there. Make sure everything's in the cam tracks. Okay, this looks perfect. I like to use the bow press arm to micro tune this. Top cam is hitting, the bottom cam has an even smaller gap. So I'm going to make this the smallest spacer size and see what that looks like. Peep looks perfect. Very good. And this will probably change as we shoot it, so we need to keep that in mind. Everything's getting set into place. And you don't have to have this perfectly split. That takes a lot of time and effort to get right. You can count the strands and tie in a piece of serving thread, but I wouldn't worry with it. I would just put it in and see what happens. Does a pretty good job that way. Okay, that is very odd. That's such a small change. The top cam is hitting ahead. I'm going to put a number 1 spacer on the top side as well. So one thing I've noticed is I really like to have it where there's 2 sets of spacers in. So what I found is going from the smallest spacer to no spacer is a giant change, but going from the smallest spacer to the second size up is a very subtle change. So you can get even more micro that way. Okay, I'm going to make this the number 2 size now on the bottom. The bottom is touching now, touching just a little bit ahead. Shouldn't be that big of a change. money. Number 2 spacer, number 1 spacer. No half twists, no single twists from the factory. Very good. Haven't done any twists in the string. Peep rotation is very good. Just slid this up. This does affect the peep rotation a little bit. Just going to keep that in for now. Peep is fully tied in. With this method, not a lot of peep rotation, maybe just a fuzz, but not much. Yeah, now we just need to double check our rest height. I am going to double check my center shot. I did humor myself earlier just to see. I think it's a little off to the right. I need to click it a couple times. I'll show you guys that. And then put our sight together, do our sight leveling with a new scope, put a dot on, shoot it through paper, and shoot around. So this will be good stuff. So let's move on. Okay, so I just put in a Bowmar peep tuner, put my aperture and clarifier in, so a 3/64, the second smallest peep, and B clarifier. I'm using a 7 power, so that's kind of fuzzy on the target, super clear dot. If I go to the C, the dot is fuzzy, but the target is super clear. I would rather the dot for indoor and spots be more clear, so I can focus on where the dot actually is in relation to the target. Now I'm not looking at the dot, I'm looking at where I want to hit, but I am letting that clear dot be in my peripheral. So I'd rather know where that dot is. I really want to see the entire picture, if you will. So let's check the center shot. Make sure I like that knock fit as well. Kind of tight in there, but it'll break in. It's good. Okay, so tape measure. And when you're doing this on the title, this is how you do it. Do not do this. Do this. So I am just a little to the right of 13/16. So let's make an adjustment. Do not assume anything when it comes to setting up a bow. Do not assume anything. So this bottom screw, and turn it this way for right. I like that. Now we're just going to tighten the lock. Got it. Solid. Center shot. All of our engine components, if you will. I'll call this the engine. This does more with a bow than the stabilizers do. 10 out of 10. So yeah, now let's get a sight put on this thing. So I just got a second bow finger sight. The V2, this thing is awesome. My favorite sight on the market for sure. I'm going to set it up pretty close to my other sight. So I'm going to take my stop screw, put it in the third hole. I might play around with how this looks with the smaller scope. I should do that. Perfect. Solid. So now, let's get a scope put on this thing. This is a lens retainer, which is awesome, and this is slightly concave. The smaller the lens, the less concave it is. So you just take this with you, swap lenses out. Put a dot on this in a minute. I'm just going to go ahead and sight level. You can get these 3D printed rings separately. I just got white and it snaps in. This comes from Bowfinger. So several different colors. That's what I'm going with there. Tiny little level, machined perfectly to the scope. Now, let's go ahead and adjust this thing. Okay, man, I forgot to get the third axis kit for this thing. So you have these cool little circles that you can screw on both sides of the scope to get the exact lean that you want. I'll probably just hijack the settings from my other scope and see how that goes. Perfect. So now, let's get our gang adjust for left and right set. Perfect. Most of the time, I'm going to tilt my scope slightly down so it's actually level with my eye. Just a wee bit. That looks good. So that's cool. So now I will definitely be getting a set of caps for the scope to do the third axis with. I'm going to loosen this. This is the scope lock. Tighten that back down. Let's get our second axis set. Okay, so these levels come with the sight. Well, you have to buy them, but anyway, it comes machined for the sight rail. It's very awesome to have. So you just slide it on and then tighten it on. Move this up some. Click it into the rail, tighten it down. Okay, and let's go ahead and make an adjustment here. Okay, so hamski level. I like to get the first axis level with the actual bar. And cool thing is with the bridge lock, I can look through the bridge lock and see this hamski level. Actually, I'm going to come on the other side. It looks like it's pretty good. Let's do a small tweak here. Okay. Looks like the first axis is already set good. The second axis is just a wee bit off. I need to tip the scope down just a smidge. So let's go ahead and make that adjustment here. Right there. Boom, 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 boom. Everything looks good. Super heavy duty washers on the back of these screws, so whenever you do make an adjustment, it holds the position firmly even though the screws are loose. And when you tighten the screws, it's not going to move on you. That's the most simple and ingenious feature of the sight, is how those adjustments work. Yeah, perfect. Scope is somewhat level, maybe slightly tilted down, and that's good. Awesome. Okay, sight is set, left and right's gang adjusted. Put a dot on the lens, and then go from there. So let's get the dot put on. Okay, so let's go ahead and take our lens out of the retainer. Get our circle and dots kit out. And I've been using the dot that's in the middle of the ring kit. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on my lens. Yeah, so that's the size of the dot I've been using in my 35mm scope with the 7 power. So we'll grab that using a piece of tape. Oop, don't want to do that. Okay. Here we go. Got the dot. Flip the lens over. Make sure the lens is clean, obviously. Very good. Okay, so I'm going to line this up. Make sure this looks really good. Up and down first, and then the left and right. Check it up and down again, left and right again. This looks really good. Just hold it there, and then put it right in the middle. Boom. Well, right in the middle. Cool. Cool. Okay, and now we will rub that in. I like to use a pen to do that. We'll just use the end of a pen here. Okay. Okay, now the tricky part is to peel the tape off without peeling the dot off with it. See how we can make that happen. Okay, double check our position. It's good, it's not bad. It's not perfect, but this is one of those things where I don't want to go too crazy. Okay, I don't like this one. Sometimes I'll just take a pen and just color it in. And that can kind of help. I wish there was a adhesive, like a heat adhesive. That would be very optimal. I haven't tried heat on these. I think they'd just shrivel up probably. They'd shrivel up for sure. Okay. Get the edges really good. Okay. There it is. Let's put that back in the lens retainer. Make sure it's clean first with the lens cloth. Perfect. Downrange lenses are awesome. For $60 you can get in my opinion, the highest quality lens. And the best part about these lenses is you can get half power lenses. So you can get a 6.5, a 5.5. So you can get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and halves of all of those. So no other lens company does that. So let's go ahead and see how this looks. The 7 power with this dot, it looks kind of big. This dot is the size of just bigger than the X, smaller than the 10 ring. So it's going to have a very small field of view. I want to see how I like it.